One thing that I have stood 10 toes down on, and something that I've been saying for the last few months. I probably started saying it last year, but I know I've been saying it consistently this year more than anything, is that the foundation of every grifter's grift is to degrade or the degradation of Black Americans. And this post right here proves just that. So by the time y'all have already seen this video, y'all have already seen this post. If y'all are on X, you probably seen it. But if you are subscribed to my channel, you've seen it because I screenshotted it and then I posted it up on my community tab on August the 19th from a post that Candace Owens made on the 18th. Now, there was this person by this account who goes by the name of Not Woke Awake, who said, interesting, I don't recall anyone getting this triggered when Candace was dunking on blacks. So to give you a little context, you know, Candace has been all over the place recently. Y'all seen some of the stuff that she's been saying and the rhetoric she's been spewing. I'm not going to go into too much detail of that, but it's like ever since she got fired from PragerU, she's really been ramping up on going in on a certain group of people that aren't black people, but a particular group that we call or refer to as them folks. And I mean, she's been going in heavy, like heavy-handed with it. And then she replied back to, now mind you, I don't think these two know each other or are aware of each other. I don't know, could have crossed paths, I don't know, but I don't think they are aware of each other. Candace came back and says, no, that was always allowed and encouraged. Now, the key words to me there in her response is allowed and encouraged. Allowed meaning that whoever she was working for, and she's been like a gypsy, basically gave her permission to go in on black people and only in on black people. Encouraged, basically saying that we are giving you a pat on the back for doing a job well done, because see, if it comes from us, it'll look a certain type of way, but if it comes from you, then it'll be sweat off of our back, and then all the slings and arrows will come your way. But what they're sadly mistaken is that y'all are the ones that hired this woman. You're the one that's paying this woman. Y'all are the ones that put the battery in her back to say these things, even though I truly believe she put the battery in her own damn back and did these things, because this woman has been saying all kinds of anti-black rhetoric things since she burst onto the mainstream scene back in like 2016 when she sat down with Tucker Carlson and made those utter remarks talking about that black people are the most murderous group in America.
One thing I always say, Tucker, is that the left can pull a racist narrative from thin air where it doesn't exist, but when it actually is in their face, they try to avoid it at all costs, especially when the perpetrator is a black person against another white person, which obviously happens more often in this country, given the fact that black Americans are the most murderous group in America by rate.
I will never forget when she actually came out of her face and said that crap. But yeah, none of us are even remotely surprised that this is how this goes down. The only thing that I wanted to point out is that she actually admitted to it. I never thought I would see the day when Candace the Coonstress Owens would actually admit from her own mouth, whether it's digital or she speaks it, that she was encouraged and allowed to say the things that she was saying about black people at the request and encouragement of her paymasters. And we all know, and the thing is, people were asking, well, who exactly told you this and who exactly allowed you and encouraged you? Well, the thing is, you don't even have to ask that. All you got to do is look at who she's been working with over the last few years. We know she's been with the Daily Wire. And also not just like looking at where she worked at, but look at where she worked at and the locations in which she said these things. She's been with the Daily Wire, so we know over there that is Ben Shapiro, Matt Walsh, and a host of others, but basically Ben Shapiro because that's his company. Then you know she was with PragerU, that's Dennis Prager, and we know how anti-black he is. This guy, if he could bring back slavery today, he would go out and buy a whip right now if he could. Hell, he probably has some memorabilia somewhere in his home. I wouldn't be surprised if that man owns an acre of two on a plantation. So all you gotta do is look at the people she's been around and shuffled around over the last few years, and that'll tell you right there. Because the rhetoric that she said about us over at Daily Wire is the same rhetoric she said about us over at PragerU and any other place she was before that. And even when she got onto her own platform, she was still throwing little digs at us. Well, when I say own platform, I'm talking about her being separate from the Daily Wire. Remember, she had that so-called blackest week ever. She could barely contain herself. She only went on 2 so-called black platforms, and then she was right back on that, back out into the world doing what she does best, which is grifting. But the reason why this post came up, and a lot of people don't know, is because the person, this not woke awake person, was basically putting out there a statement that I made on X a little short while ago. And when I saw it, it reminded me of what I said. I said, it's amazing how when Candace said those things she said about black people, it was all fine and good. But the second that she said something against them folks and those other groups that, they almost like they who should not be named, then that's when they want to say, oh, Candace, you're so wrong. How could you do this, Candace? I don't like you anymore, Candace. It's funny that they don't like her anymore now that she started talking about them. This is why she got fired from the Daily Wire, because she stopped talking about us. Well, I'll take that back. She didn't stop talking about us, but she scaled back. She wasn't as heavy-handed with it. By that time, she already got what she wanted out of the company. But now she wants to go ahead and say more. Truthfully honest, I wouldn't be surprised if Candace always wanted to say this stuff about these people, but the only way she could get there was to degrade us. And that is not, let me just give a disclaimer, that is not giving her a pass. That is her, again, being a social climber and a grifter. Like I said at the beginning, the foundation of every grifter's grift is to degrade us. Look at Amron Oodle. This dude right here, any chance he gets, he wants to degrade black people. He wants to throw on a pillowcase and cut holes into it like he's wearing a Klan hood, throw up the Nazi salute, and then go and hang around in white spaces on X claiming that he's white, while they degrade him. And he keeps running back over there, but then he makes sure he makes a pit stop to sit down and degrade us. He did it with Tariq. He got checked by him. He did it with Marcel and got checked by Marcel twice, like thoroughly embarrassed, but let him tell it. He won the discussion. He won the argument. So like I've said before, the foundation of every grifter's grift, and it doesn't matter what their racial ethnic makeup is or their nationality, whether they're from here on the soil or if they're from in the Caribbean or if they're from across the pond. Their foundation to get where they want to get is to degrade us at any chance they get, because they see us as the low-hanging fruit. I think the thing that pisses a lot of people off when it comes to some of these grifters is if they are black American and they do the same exact thing. Because again, all they're doing is they're trying to get a come up. For them, this is all money and engagement to them, clicks, views. That is the new social currency. If you can get people talking, if you can go viral, if you can say something controversial and get a lot of people your way, that's going to fuel you to continue to do it more. That's exactly why Candace Owens is still here, because she puts herself out there to be as controversial as she possibly can, even if a lot of the stuff that she says is very, very ridiculous. She knows there's an audience out there somewhere that's watching, clearly, because they keep watching. This woman sat down and interviewed with Amber Rose. She always is talking to the Tate brothers. She's always, in some cases talking to Nick Fuentes. This Dan Bilzerian guy, y'all probably heard about him. They supposed to be her and Andrew Tate. By the time this video come up, you're probably already seeing it. We're supposed to be doing some kind of sit down talking about the same thing that she's going viral for yet again, that got the people over there upset with her. So this woman knows exactly what she's doing, but I'm gonna say this. She is the monster that they created, which means they are going to have to be the ones to tame her. Don't push her onto us and expect us to deal with her. As far as I'm concerned, that woman has never been on our side. Ever. Every time we look at her and every time we hear her speak, it's always against us. She's never been over here. This is exactly why it pissed me off when you had some people, and by some people I'm talking about some of these black men out here trying to give her props and stuff. I'm like, no, why are you propping this woman up? Don't do that. We trying to shake this woman and like not have her over here. She can't come over here. She doesn't have a home over here. Once they are done with her, like really done with her, I'm talking about giving her the Stacey Dash / Paris Denard / David Clark / Omarosa treatment. She's a nomad. Notice the people I just mentioned, we don't hear about them no more. For many of you, this is your first time hearing their names in a very long time. I want her to get to that point where we don't hear about her for years on end, and gets to the point where, you know, if someone brings up her name, it's like, who? Candace who? Who is she? I want her to not even be a blip on the radar. You know how you see them little sonar, those little radars? I don't want her to be that. When that little green line is swirling around when they're trying to find something, I don't want her to even be the little ding, ding. I don't want her to be that. That's how far gone I want her to be. And people keep saying, oh, well, if we just stop talking about her, then she'll go away. Here's the thing. And I said this before, but I'll say it again for those who missed it. I could go a year without talking about Candace Owens. Any of us could. Never have to mention this woman's name. But she'll still be there because her audience keeps her there. See, the thing is, Candace built up a double-sided audience. And what I mean by that is she built up an audience, again, degrading us. So she got that anti-black crowd. That was one audience right there. But now she's built up another audience of people that don't like the particular group that she's consistently now going in on. So now she has another group. So let's just say that Candace Owens' anti-black group doesn't agree with anything she's saying right now. They hate her right now because she's not doing what, like she says in the post, allowed and encouraged. And let's just say that they drop off. Let's just say every last one of them leaves. Well, let's be real here. All of them ain't leaving, but I'm just speaking hypothetically. She'll still have the cushion and the pedestal being held up with her on it from that other audience that she built up. I'm telling you, this woman is a very strategic grifter. She was not going to allow one audience to fall completely off before she got another audience to build up, just as a backup in case the other one did just kind of dissipate and go away. So, like I said, Kid Gravity, Lisa Cabrera, anyone in the new black media can go a whole year without talking about her. At least the ones who have consistently talked about her. We can stop talking about her cold turkey and never talk about her again. But as long as she has that other audience that's way bigger than all of our audience, she'll still be here. It's just that we won't acknowledge her, but she'll still be around. When I say gone, we keep those 4 people I mentioned: Paris Denard, David Clark, Omarosa, and Stacey Dash. There's more, but those 4 will do. I wanted to get to that point because guess what? We don't mention them, and neither do they. And that is the goal. When they don't bring her up anymore, when she becomes a pariah to them, then that's when you'll know that Candace Owens' grift will have officially come to an end.